We all know the RV lifestyle isn't really the sort of affordable getaway it used to be. Everything has gone up in price, of course, but how does the rising cost of RVing stack up to inflation, to the cost of groceries and utilities and everything else you have to pay for? I'm Jason Epperson, and this is RV Miles. It's been 5 years since we were in the thick of the early COVID pandemic, when there were still all kinds of questions about travel and social distancing and masks and all of it. Lots of industries completely shut down, while RVing boomed, becoming a way for people to travel responsibly and while avoiding a lot of the restrictions placed on air travel in hotels and restaurants. But if you remember, we weren't really sure that was what was going to happen. In March of 2020, many campgrounds closed and RV manufacturing came to a screeching halt. Dealers canceled orders, manufacturers laid off employees, and they canceled orders for all the components and materials they used to build RVs. But by the beginning of May, people started buying RVs like crazy, and production couldn't get started fast enough. Literally, there weren't enough employees. There were all the shipping issues we dealt with. Getting parts from overseas was very difficult. Remember all that stuff? But there was a sense that it was all temporary. And during 2020, costs didn't really increase. In fact, fuel prices were so low, travel felt incredibly affordable. It would be another 2+ years of incredible RV sales, fueled by stimulus checks and low interest rates, until it all came crashing down in 2023 for RV manufacturers. But as you know, prices for goods, including RVs, never really dropped that much, even as RV production nearly halved. And there was a lot of speculation about whether there would be this huge surge in used RVs on the market as people decided that this wasn't for them. Remember all that sort of stuff? I did several videos on it. But that never really happened. There is a lot more used on the market now, but it was gradual over the last couple of years, and it's frankly about the same as it was pre-pandemic. So even though fewer people are buying RVs, a lot of people own RVs, and campground and RV park bookings haven't really come down. Maybe slightly from their highs, but really campgrounds are pretty full in the busy season. But just how bad is it really out there? I've put together some numbers to take a look. But first, this episode is sponsored by our friends over at RVmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding. If you did buy an RV and it came with a terrible mattress, why did you spend all that money that we're going to talk about in a second on an RV just to travel around with this terrible mattress that came with it? Spend the extra money to get a real mattress from a real mattress company like Brooklyn Bedding. RVmattress.com is their portal where you can get real mattresses from a real mattress manufacturer in all the different odd sizes that RV manufacturers make these platforms for your bed in. There's all sorts of weird stuff out there. There's the Camper King, which is really an Olympic queen. There's the RV King and Queen, which are shorter than a regular king and queen. There's all the different bunk sizes, all sorts of stuff. And RVmattress.com has lots of different sizes for you to choose from. They have different thicknesses as well. Say you've got a slide that closes over the top of your bed and you need to have a specific thickness of a mattress. You can figure that all out over on RVmattress.com. Their mattresses are toxin-free. They're made in their factory in Arizona, shipped to you wherever you are. We've had them in our last 3 RVs, and all of our mattresses in our house are from Brooklyn Bedding. They are fantastic mattresses, and we really can't say enough good things about them. The best part is, for being an RV Miles viewer, you get 30% off. It's the best deal they ever offer. You don't have to wait for a sale, but because you're a part of this community, you get 30% off by going to rvmattress.com/RVMiles and using the code RVMiles at checkout. Okay, if you've been feeling like the cost of RVing has gotten out of hand, you're not imagining things. From RV sticker prices and gas to campsite fees and of course tow vehicles, nearly everything has gone up, and in some cases by a lot. And let's start with the big ticket item, the RV itself. I took a look at 2 RVs, a higher-end travel trailer, an Airstream, and more of an entry-level motorhome. And I found the MSRP for each year since model year 2020, which really was the 2019 model. Remember, the model year changeover happens in the summer of the previous year. So 2020 models are pre-pandemic. If you were shopping for a brand new 2020 Airstream Flying Cloud 30RB, that's the model I chose to do this little comparison, the MSRP was about $100,000, $100,400 to be exact, back in the 2020 model year. And you probably would have gotten 20 to 30% off of that MSRP. 2021 had a modest increase, and 2022 held steady, but the 2023 model year which was sold at the height of the RV boom in 2022, had a huge price bump. Plus, you probably weren't getting a discount off of MSRP. Today, that same unit has an MSRP of $126,200. That's a 26% increase in just 5 years. Now, take a look at the Winnebago Mini Winnie, a Class C motorhome built on a Ford F-350 gas chassis. In 2020, this floor plan had a starting MSRP of $96,977. Today, $146,248. That's nearly a 51% increase. And that's just the price. That's not including the dramatic increase in interest rates. So if you're paying on a loan for either of those rigs, you're paying significantly more. In the case of the Winnebago, if you have a loan on that thing, you're paying pretty much double what you were in 2020. Yes, newer models have some new additional features, but that's the entry-level end of the motorhome market, and the trend is clear. New RVs are getting significantly more expensive. Even with this crash in RV production, RVs have not come down in price. You may be able to get a little bit more off of MSRP now than you could back in the height of the boom in 2020, but you're still paying significantly more than you were pre-pandemic. For comparison, overall US inflation between 2020 and 2025 is expected to be around 22% based on CPI data. So while the Airstream increase roughly tracks with that, the Mini Winnie far outpaces it, nearly double the rate of inflation. And of course, most RVers are towing behind a truck, and truck pricing has been, in a word, rough. In 2020, a Ford F-250 XLT, that's sort of one up from the work truck base model, it had a starting MSRP of $38,815. Today, it starts at $51,295. That's a 32% jump. And again, that's the base price before any features, four-wheel drive, diesel engines, or towing packages. Add in all of those, and you're often looking at trucks priced in the $70,000 to $90,000 range or even more. The sort of more premium end of things has gotten even more expensive. And once again, that's well above the 22% national inflation rate. And of course, it's not just the rig. Once you've got one, you got to find a place to put it. Public campgrounds like state parks and national parks have mostly not increased too much, though some have. Some state parks, like those in Illinois and Indiana, have kept their rates flat, but others, like Florida, Colorado, California, have raised their rates significantly. Some have new increased rates for out-of-state visitors. You might pay 25 to 50% more per night just for having a different license plate. But private campgrounds have really jumped, as we all know. I'm going to pick on one here. This is the Rafter Bar J Ranch in South Dakota's Black Hills. Look, you could pick any campground and you're going to come up with a very similar thing. This one's a very popular destination for people visiting Mount Rushmore and the surrounding area. And in 2020, a full hookup 50 amp site during the regular season ran $67.95 per night. Today, in 2025, that same site will cost you $92.95. And of course, if you want one of their newer deluxe sites during peak weeks, expect to pay up to $123.95. So we're looking at a 37% increase on the base rate, again outpacing the national inflation rate by far. And that's a pretty common theme we're seeing. Not only have prices at campgrounds increased, the types of premium sites and all that sort of stuff has increased. They add a patio and make the site a little bit bigger and they can charge a lot more for it. Or it's just in a better location in the campground. Campgrounds have figured out a lot of this stuff. They've introduced this sort of tiered site pricing and dynamic pricing based on demand and what's going on that week of the year. And they have all these sort of premium site classifications. What was once a fairly straightforward nightly rate now often requires a whole spreadsheet. What's more, a lot of older, formerly more affordable campgrounds have been bought out over the past 5 years and have been refurbished to higher-end RV resorts, while new campground construction has just not met the demand. One area that has been a bit better is fuel prices. In 2020, the national average for gasoline was $2.17 a gallon. Now, that's not really a fair comparison year since fuel prices plummeted because nobody was driving. In 2019, the average was $2.60, so that's a little bit closer to what the reality was before the pandemic. Today, mid-2025, we're sitting at roughly $3.17 a gallon. We had that big, awful fuel price increase in the summer of 2022, and thankfully things have come down and evened out since. But there's all kinds of other stuff too. We're paying a lot more for maintenance and insurance. All the things cost a lot more. So look, here's the truth. RVers, we're doing our part. We're showing up. We're spending money. We're adapting to the changes. But the industry, it's got to meet us halfway. RV manufacturers, you can't just keep cranking up prices without meaningful improvements. I realize that manufacturing costs a lot more than it did before, but the quality problems, you've got to at least improve the quality problems if you expect people to buy more RVs. And if you are improving those quality problems, tell us about it, because I cannot tell you how many people mention in the comments of my videos they planned on buying an RV but are waiting because of the quality problems. If you're going to be charging luxury prices, we should be getting reliable, well-built rigs. They don't have to be perfect. We know they won't be perfect, but they got to be better, and you got to stand behind your warranties. I know not every brand is the same, and I don't like painting every brand with the same brush, but there is an industry-wide problem that needs to be fixed somehow. And campground operators, we get it. Demand went up, but we're seeing $100 plus a night for sites that haven't added a single new feature. The switch to dynamic pricing, maybe it works for hotels, but it's leaving a bad taste in the mouth for loyal RVers. And dynamic pricing, by the way, as somebody who used to do this, doesn't mean prices just go up when demand is high. It also needs to mean prices go down when demand is low. So don't be charging us the same rate throughout the entire season. Give us a better rate in the off season if your prices have to be high in the busy season. We get it. Just make some concessions in other ways. There just has to be some joy brought back into this, especially with the elimination of first come, first served campgrounds entirely. It's made spontaneity one of RVing's greatest joys nearly impossible. And if you're profiting from the RV boom, reinvest. Add sites, improve facilities, expand access, not just prices. This lifestyle is at its best when it's accessible to all. You can have the high-end, premium, expensive sites for that person who has that $600,000 motorhome and isn't worried about spending it. But for the person that has the $20,000 travel trailer or the tent, they want the affordable site. Let's not lose that thing where the campground is this great place where everyone can go in the rush to capitalize on a trend, so that it remains a healthy industry and an accessible recreational activity, a win-win for customers and owners of businesses alike for years to come. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. If you got something out of this video, hit the like button. If you want more like it, subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.